What do you call that, John? The Aurora of the barn?
No, Cole, that's a barn.
Where's that at?
You're so dumb. That's in the Palouse.
Is it?
Yeah. That's infrared too.
Now, you've been to the Palouse many, many times.
Oh, 20 probably.
Oh, yeah. So, what's the value and keep going back? Why not go to a new area?
That's a good question because that gets asked all the time. Why are you going back to the Palouse? I adore the Palouse. And so what's the value? Because I bring every year I go back, I'm mature, a year more maturity. I know you find that hard to believe, but I'm mature, hopefully as a human being, but also as a photographer, right? I've gained new knowledge over that year. And so, which allows me to see things differently every time I go.
Hmm.
Because I'm a year older, hopefully a year smarter, hopefully I've given more thought to why I photograph and maybe a new project that I'm working on, and being in the Palouse will allow me to find images. But it's also because, in a more practical sense, especially the Palouse, the crops are rotated every 4 years. So, 1 year there's canola, 1 year there's wheat, 1 year there's winter wheat, 1 year it's fallow. So that landscape is going to be different, but I would argue that landscape's going to be different if you go back to the Faroe Islands where you don't have crops that are rotating, and you're going to go to a different location in the Faroe Islands that you haven't been to because you're going to go explore. Same thing I do in the Palouse. I go up over a different road. Every time I go there, I go on different roads that I've never been on before, just because, with no expectation. But man, when you go over that hill and you come over a patch of yellow canola and a red barn, I mean, you just go, whoa, this is fantastic, right? So to me, repeated opportunity is actually essential in my workflow now. I want to go back over and over, especially to the places I've fallen in love with. How about you? Do you tend to go back? I mean, I know you love the Faroe Islands and you're going back because I've invited you to be my co-leader, but do you fret now going for your whatever fifth or sixth time, or are you excited to go back again?
Well, it's always a challenge because at any place you go, there are certain geological features that you'll be drawn to, whether it be that barn or it be a big rock or something. So you do find yourself going back to the same spot, or tempted to go back to the same
Yes.
spot. And sometimes you'll argue, well, I got a great one last year, but maybe this one will be a little bit greater.
Oh yeah.
But it does force you to look at other things and to see them, not the obvious, because when you go to on a vacation, for example, and you go for a week, you're really hitting highlights. But
Yeah.
when you go for, for me, a month is a minimum for a stay for a location, because you really want to see beyond the obvious giant pinnacle or red barn. You want
Right.
to see something else. So there's like the Death Valley or Oregon coast. I go back every year for many, many years.
Yeah.
But other places I like to go for the first time and stay for a month, like I did in, say, Newfoundland, and
Yeah.
just and then go somewhere new, because there is something fun about seeing with fresh eyes.
Uh, But are there challenges associated with repeat opportunities too? I think you've sort of touched on one, and that is being drawn to that magnet that always brings you back at Bandon Beach or whatever, right? So one of the challenges is not going back to those icon. Like I go to Steptoe Butte, which is the iconic spot to go, and you're up at 2,500 feet, and you're looking, and you do the same squiggly line out to the lone tree. So that does become a challenge. So one year, what did I do? I said, I'm not going to shoot color at all from Steptoe Butte. I'm only going to do black and white and infrared, and that was a challenge. It really was. But I made it work. I got some images I really loved. So as a tour leader, it's even a bigger challenge because I do need to bring them back
Yeah.
to, the locations that we know that they're going to enjoy. But on my own, I just get out of that headspace of having to do what you have to do, and I just go explore. That's how I overcome that obstacle. Any other obstacles in your mind of repeated opportunity?
Well, I was just had this thought that no matter where you're at, there's going to be something great to be found if you work at it. And
Yeah.
if you take, often I'll go to a place that seemingly has nothing to offer, and I'll force myself to sit down for maybe an hour or more and just really look more closely. Because what I don't like on shorter trips is you're going bang, 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 trying to hit the highlights. And sometimes you got to sit on that rock and just contemplate what's there.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree. It's really hard to be present in a moment when you give yourself 30 minutes. You know,
Very
I mean,
difficult.
there's no stop that can ever be 30 minutes. I mean, not if you really want to do it
No.
justice. You know,
And,
it
and if you got the guidebook, you're then being spurred on to get to the next, the next, the next, the next. And so you're, ugh.
totally true. Totally true. So I think we agree. Repeated opportunity is not a bad thing at all, but there's certainly some challenges that can be associated with it.
Oh, yeah.
But you know, one last quick story maybe to finish this short session. I remember Dan saying to me, you know, look, I think he was 75 at that moment. He says, you know, I'm just tired, John. I really am tired. And of course, then we learned that he was battling cancer, which he ultimately succumbed to. So no wonder he was tired. But he said to me as we were going to the Smokies, and then he said the same thing again going to the Palouse. He said, so don't worry about me. I'm going to be in the car just enjoying being with you and the group. You know, it was a workshop. But if I don't take pictures, don't worry about it. Because I'm the only way I'm going to take pictures on this trip is if something just grabs me and I'll get a camera out and do it. Well, crap, Cole, he showed me the body of work from the Smokies, and he had been there 12 times, hands down the best images I had ever seen. And he had been there 12 freaking times. Why? And so it didn't dawn on me, right? So that happened. And then we go to the Palouse literally a month later. Same thing. He says, John, I'm going to do the same thing I did down in the Smokies because I'm exhausted. I probably will not, I might not even get a camera out. At the end of that trip, and he'd been to the Palouse 20 times. I mean, he's the one who introduced me to the Palouse.
Mm.
Absolutely the best work, and I'm not kidding, the best work I'd ever seen of his from that. You know, and it dawned on me what happened. What happened was he showed up with no expectations in mind, totally willing to be just present and be there. All the things that we like to talk about. And he did it not purposefully. I mean, he did it because he was honestly tired and beat up and haggard, and he just didn't have an interest. But what a great testimony to what we love to talk about, that repeated opportunity was part of what was his success. But even more importantly, was going there with no expectations, allowing himself to just be in the car, not even get out of the car sometimes until all of a sudden he was like, whoa, the light just changed. And now all of a sudden that spot over there is just like a magnet, and I've got to get out and make a photograph. What a great testimony to that's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do every time I'm out with the camera, is not force it, not grasp at it. But going back over and over again, you know, sorry, I'm making this a little longer, but I'm just realizing the part of the reason I love going back is because even if I am going back to the Palouse on a road that I really love, my mindset is no longer angst. I've got to find one. I'm no longer wrestling with, I've got to find something to bring customers to. I'm totally in that present moment now out on the Palouse, not worried about a thing. I'm practicing what Dan, his example, gave me. And so even though I'm on the same road I love, I'm going to stumble upon something that I've never seen on that road. And I would say the reason I'm stumbling on something I've never seen is because I'm allowing myself to get rid of all of that crap that was forcing me to stop, do, grasp, find something for customers, all that stuff. And so, anyways, that's my last thought on that. You want to wrap up? Go ahead.
No, no, I think that's good. I think there's advantages to going to a location for the first time. There's an advantage to going for the 20th time.
Yeah.
Each
Yeah.
has opportunities.
Yep. All right. That's a horrible image behind you, by the way. Don't ever show that.